Hi there. I'm getting back again to talk about American domestic politics, but I want to highlight a couple things. Um, the UK has a form of moral clarity that America doesn't have. I'm going to tell you why. Because they actually held Prince Andrew accountable. They arrested him for being involved in the E files, and they rightfully should. That's something America will never do to the powerful. The powerful's the powerful's protected in America. It's a protected class. They run our country. This is why our country's in the situation it's in right now. Okay. And with all this stuff you see going on with the current administration, it's a deflection, distraction from what's actually going on. He's trying to distract people from his own implications in these files. We know that. It's a deflection, it's a distraction. Their deposition on Hillary and Bill Clinton was another distraction. And I got news for you. I mean, I don't personally care if they interview them. It's fine. I think everybody should be asked questions, especially if their name ever came up in these files. Anybody, I don't care who they are. So I'm not here to defend Bill and Hillary by any means, but as far as I know, Hillary Clinton was never in those files at all. So Bill, yes. But if we're going to start asking Hillary Clinton her questions to do with her husband, since it's her responsibility to monitor her own husband's behavior, then I guess you got to hold all the other women's standards that are married to all these men in his cabinet that went to this island, that were involved, that were implicated in these files. You need to ask all their wives too, because they were there. Okay. And Melania Trump, especially, who's first lady, she was in the files numerous times. Okay. Just saying. If we're going to be consistent across the board. But again, I think it was a political mistake for them to deposition Hillary and Bill Clinton, because it's only putting the focus back on the Trump administration and his involvement and the people in his cabinet's involvement. Okay. It doesn't deflect the reality. We can see it. You're not distracting anybody. You're not fooling anybody, you guys. We can see it. So now he's making a bunch of noise, making a bunch of chaotic choices to distract people, because that's classic Donald Trump 101. Whenever he's backed into a corner, he will start making erratic decisions and act out when he realizes his approval among the public is falling like quicksand. All right. And it's falling like quicksand because he's not keeping the promises that he promised to the people. Even people that voted for him. There are a number of conservatives and independents out there that are very disappointed and disenchanted by his choices as president. Whether it's to push his unconstitutional tariffs that are costing them more money. Even though the Supreme Court even ruled it unconstitutional, and they would be right to do that because we're paying for that as taxpayers. We're all paying for that. I don't know if y'all went grocery shopping recently, but you can clearly see you're paying for that. Okay. We're going to pay that back. We're not getting no money on these tariffs. Okay. We're getting the short end of the stick here. The people that are making the money are the people in the Trump orbit. And even some of them aren't making money because of this. So the reality is, this is not a money maker, this tariff move, okay? And anybody that studies business and finance and economics would know that, regardless of what your ideology is. Okay? Again, I support targeted tariffs. I support some forms of protectionism in this country, but not the way this guy's approaching it. Okay, so when people come back and say, well, you as a far lefty, you Democrats supported tariffs at one time. Yeah, a lot of us did, because we support labor. We support American domestic production and labor. Absolutely. I was one of the Democrats who was very critical of the Trans-Pacific Partnership under President Obama. I didn't like the bill. Okay. I spoke out against the bill. I protested the bill. Okay. I knew that America has continued to sell its sovereignty away from the American people. Okay? And it's happened under both parties, let's just be honest. All right. You want to know who really pushed NAFTA? Honest to God, who really first pushed NAFTA? It wasn't Bill Clinton. It was George H.W. Bush. But because the Democrats controlled the House, they would not pass it. Because back then, more Democrats were pro-tariff. They were against free trade. Okay? They were more pro-labor back then. They would not vote with the George H.W. Bush administration to approve NAFTA. But when Bill Clinton got elected president, the whole game changed. So Bill Clinton passed originally what was started by George H.W. Bush. And this is what I'm talking about, the uniparty system. When it comes to selling out American sovereignty, you get both parties on board. And I was completely critical of the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I'm aware of the damage NAFTA did to America. Okay. AKA, why in 2016 I'm aware of the mistakes of the Iraq War. AKA is why I voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016 over Hillary Clinton. Because Hillary Clinton was a big advocate for the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Hillary Clinton was for the Iraq War. Hillary Clinton saw it as profiteering. Okay. Which is why I voted for Bernie Sanders the 2 times he ran. Because Bernie Sanders was against the Iraq War. Bernie Sanders was against NAFTA. Bernie Sanders was against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Bernie Sanders is a true populist. Okay. So since we want to talk about populism, us on the left were screaming about these trade deals a long time ago. All right. But Donald Trump took the playbook and used it to his advantage to get elected in 2016. All right. But Donald Trump did nothing about trade. Matter of fact, he passed his own trade deal when he was president. It was just a continuation of the Trans-Pacific Partnership with a few things added and taken out. Then he also did targeted tariffs. This time, no, he's doing blanket tariffs that are economically hurting our country. All right. And even the Supreme Court had to step in and rule that unconstitutional. Because it's going to cost everybody money at the end of the day, and we're all going to have to pay it back. All of us are. It doesn't matter who you are. You're paying it back as a taxpayer. This guy is bankrupting our country dry. He's doing nothing to make this country better. It's obvious. But it is a problem. And I'm glad people are waking up and seeing this reality. And now his invasion of Iran, he's doing that on behalf of Israel. It's not a secret. All right. I predicted he was going to bomb Iran again. And that's exactly what he did. He took out one of their leaders. They bombed a girls' school in Iran. Okay, and you have to ask yourself, what is that doing for America? And ask your friends that support this war, are they okay with their family going to war on behalf of Israel? Because that's what these people are doing. You're going to let your family's going to go die for Israel. Just letting you know, FYI. So, yeah. There's the run through the news cycle we've witnessed in the last, just week alone. And sometimes I got to tune out because there's just so much BS going on. Like I said, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Whether it's the market, whether it's foreign policy, whether it's you name it, every subject right now, it's down the drains right now. Because the leadership we have right now is not working for the country. It's not. But again, I was never against tariffs. I just don't like how they're being implicated. But we still have to do trade relations around the world to thrive as a country. That's just reality. That's how we do business to survive. And that's why, despite what your belief system is, you have to listen to people that know about this stuff. You have to listen to smart people. Because we don't know it all. Unfortunately, we got a guy in there who thinks he knows everything and he's completely ignorant. So, here we are, America. Y'all have a great night, great day. See you later. Love y'all. Goodbye.